Many artists display their work on walls or shelves. Those who work with fashion have a different destination for their successes. Fashion designer Hayden's hard work has graced runways and stages across the country. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Caroline, when did you say to yourself, I think this could be a career?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always loved fashion. I was definitely one of those little girls who would invite her friends over and we would have slumber parties and just had it a part of my life for most of my life. And when I had to make a decision in college to do something, I just chose something that I liked. And it wasn't until I won a couple of awards for my senior collection when I realized that, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I could do this for a living.
And okay, so now you are doing this professionally. You're making dresses for people. Who have worn your dresses that you're pretty proud of?
Well, last year I had a really special situation where I got to work with Miss Canada Universe. I flew to Toronto to do a fitting with her, and it was just one of those really great moments where you look around and you're in a new city and there's a national director, a national title holder, and her stylist, and they're all oohing and eyeing over something that you created. And so that was probably the greatest thing that has happened since.
Well, and you know, the word design, creation, I mean, where do you get your ideas from for these things?
You know, everywhere. It's hard to edit, and so before I even make a sketch, I go through a lot of editing in my head. So it's constant. So it really depends on the person.
So you come up with something in your head. We're looking at one of your sketches right now. So you get an idea, you put it on paper. What then? What's next?
Well, I do mostly custom work right now, and so you know, finalizing fabric choices, working with budgets, meeting with the girl, really getting to know her, and working with maybe a coach that she has. I work in the pageant industry mostly, so it's just getting that ball rolling with that initial design process and just going from there. There's really no set anything in this industry.
Okay, and we have some dresses today that you brought. The one we're looking at right now, I think, is, you said it was the first one that you...
Oh, the blue one.
Yeah, created. And was that for a special event?
Yeah, I competed in the Miss America organization, and it was when I was about a junior in college, and I knew that I wanted to design something just to kind of incorporate both passions. And so I played the piano for my talent, and I designed this for myself to wear. Yeah, for that.
And we have some other people here too. We're looking at one of the models in a dress that you made, and you made this specifically for her. How important is that you look at someone and say, oh, I've got the dress for you?
Very important. In pageants, you're judged based on confidence and does the dress suit your personality. And so this was actually a design that I wanted to do for some time now, and it was one of those things up in my head that I was editing and narrowing down, and I had it reserved for somebody, but I just didn't know who. And when Emily won a Grand Forks title last year, I met her and I knew she'd be perfect in it. And
what about that dress do you really like? I guess, is there a favorite part?
The fabric's pretty great. That liquid sequin fabric is very sparkly, and it's really beautiful without being over-designed, I think.
Okay. And we have, of course, some other dresses here. The pink dress is different, obviously.
Yes.
Tell us what's different about it.
Well, obviously it's a little bit less dramatic. It's more of a day dress. I found this fabric, again, I'm inspired a lot by the fabric that I find. Living in northern Minnesota, the resources are limited, and so when I see something that I love, I immediately start thinking of how I can use that. And I just fell in love with this fabric and thought it would be adorable for a little teen interview dress, and this is the current Miss North Dakota Teen International.
Okay, and how, you talk about the fabric and how that gives you ideas. How long does it take to, like, you see a fabric, you start getting ideas, how long does it take to actually finish a dress?
It depends on how long our waiting list is. Sometimes we work on something and we know it's not going to be needed for a while, and it's a friend of mine and we'll come back to it. But from start to finish, maybe a couple of months, depending on where I get my fabric. Sometimes I order the fabric custom made, and then it needs to be hand sewn in India and flown over. So it really depends.
Sure. And there's one last dress that we have to look at here. And how is this dress different? Explain that.
Well, first of all, we have royalty with us. This is the current Miss North Dakota, Beth Dennison, a UND student. And again, I was inspired by the fabric. I loved this beautiful silk charmeuse print, and I actually, a few years ago, just ordered a ton of it and didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I ended up making a bunch of different creations in similar styles with a nice sweetheart, very classic lines. I think you have to keep it simple when you have a busy pattern like that.
Okay. And what are some challenges you face being a designer and coming coming up with something like the dress we looked at?
Sure. The biggest thing for me right now is production. I have an amazing seamstress located right here in Grand Forks, but which is a good thing. We're getting too busy for our manpower. And so finding somebody in this area that can handle a high-end project like that is going to be my next hurdle.
Okay. Well, speaking of next, where do you see this all going? I mean, you're doing these things for people as they call you, but where do you see this going?
Well, I would love to be able to be in a position to do a line and be able to maybe try the bridal market and do a few new and exciting things that I know are close, but I will never get to until I get that production element under my belt. And so I'm just working on custom right now and learning as I go and trying to be patient, I guess.
Well, there's certainly a lot more to address than I think I've ever seen before. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Okay, thanks, Caroline.